The latest Case-Shiller Home Price Index shows stabilizing prices, a good sign for the battered housing sector. But unemployment remains elevated, foreclosures continue to be a stubborn issue, and there's concern interest rates could tick upward. That has many worried that further weakness could be headed for housing. Joining us to talk about the market is Jerry Howard, Chief Executive of the National Association of Home Builders Trade Group. Jerry, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Dawn. Good to be here.
First, the question that everybody wants to know, is this bottom or are we going to see a double dip?
Well, so far we're seeing signs of stability, and I haven't seen anything empirical that makes me think that we're going to go into a double dip. But when the summer buying season's over, I think that's when we'll be in a better position to really judge that.
Now, the home buyer tax credit is set to expire April 30th. What happens after that?
Well, that remains to be seen. There's good news and bad news here. The good news is that I don't think it's going to have a significant impact, turn the market downward. The bad news is the reason it's not going to have a significant impact is, at least up until now, the second round of the tax credit hasn't been the shot in the arm that the first round was. So it hasn't been that much of a factor.
Why hasn't it helped much?
I think that you had most of the people that were going to buy move into the market the first time, but again, it's early to tell. At the end of the last round with this tax credit, the significant purchases were made as it was about to expire, the urgency factor, and we may see some of that this month as well.
Any chance of you guys pushing to have it extended again?
We're in conversations about that. I'm not certain at this point. We will continue to talk to people up on Capitol Hill and see what their appetite is, and we'll talk to our members. But the tax credit is supposed to be a short-term shot in the arm. It's been now extended twice. I think there are going to be a lot of people up on the Hill that are going to look at us a little bit askance if we go back and try and ask for it.
Now, some people think there's just too many houses out there already. Tell me, why do home builders keep building?
Well, right now, nobody really is building. I mean, last year there were under 600,000 units built, and most of those units were built either for the tax credit market, which obviously there weren't enough houses in that market, or they were custom houses built by an individual who owned the piece of property and was building their own home. In terms of speculative building, there hasn't been much in most markets. In fact, in some markets, there's actually a need for it. I was told recently that one of the suburban DC localized markets, that there are only about 15 for sale brand new homes in that market. That's about a half a month's worth in a normal housing situation. So in some places there is a need for building, but there hasn't been much.
How much has your membership fallen during the downturn?
Our membership has gone from roughly 250,000 member firms down to about 175,000 member firms.
Okay, last question. Briefly, I'm putting you in charge of fixing housing. What do you do?
The first thing I do is fix the rest of the economy, but obviously if that's not the answer, we've got to make sure that there is a viable secondary market. We've got to get Fannie and Freddie back in the business officially. We've got to get the appraisal situation fixed so that appraisals for short sales and foreclosed homes don't have too radical effect on the overall appraisals, and we have to get the banks lending again.
Thanks again for joining us, Jerry.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Dawn.